Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We have the ATP Rome Masters get into, and I can't wait to get into this one because we have a stacked lineup. We have Yannick Sinner back from his ban. How's he going to play? What's his level going to be like? There is some unfortunate news. Novak Djokovic has pulled out. He's withdrawn, so he will not be playing. We will see him in Paris. Fingers crossed. I don't think it's something physical. I think it's either mental. Could just be that he's suffering from a bit of mental burnout more than physical burnout. Obviously, hasn't had the results he would have liked recently, but I'm hoping that he'll be able to rekindle it for Roland Garros because we want all the best players to be at their best and then give us some blockbusters. Before we do get into every single match of this draw and work our way to our winner, please do hit that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Thank you to our members on YouTube. You guys are legends for getting involved as always. Okay, let's get into it. So first of all, I'm going to talk about projected quarterfinals. Then we're going to get straight into the draw. So, as Yannick Sinner is back, he is the number one seed. His projected quarterfinal is against Casper Ruud, who has just come off a very, very impressive win in Madrid, his first Masters 1000 title, and that is the first projected quarterfinal. We then also have Carlos Alcaraz versus Jack Draper. Now that's in the bottom half, though. Sorry, excuse me. Then we've got Taylor Fritz versus Alex de Minaur. That's the second top half quarterfinal. And then Lorenzo Musetti versus Alexander Zverev. Now, I think that would be a fantastic matchup. I'd love to see that. I think out of all those matchups, Draper Alcaraz, considering that Alcaraz, I don't think he'll be 100%. Draper's looking good on clay. Fritz de Minaur, I'm not too excited about. I'd actually like to see Ruud versus Sinner on clay, and Musetti's Zverev, I think, would be a great matchup as well. So hopefully we get a few of those. Okay, let's get into it then. So Sinner has a bye. As I mentioned, he's had that ban due to testing positive, so for banned substances, and he's been out for 3 months. So how will he look? I have no idea. We will have to wait and see. I imagine he might be a bit rusty, potentially drop a set here or two. Let's see who he's facing in the draw, and then we'll decide how far he's going to go. Mariano Navone has Federico China, a wild card. I think Navone for me. Also worth mentioning on Sinner before I move on to the next matches actually as well, is that he didn't play last year in Rome. He was injured. So it'll be intriguing to see how he looks because last year was when he really started to show the type of level that we are now accustomed to seeing because he won the Australian Open. That was a different level to what we'd seen before. And then from then on, of course, we've seen some fantastic tennis, but we didn't see in Rome. So we don't know how he's going to potentially play in Rome. There's no real indicator of that. Jesper de Jong, lucky loser, plays qualifier Shevchenko. I'm going to go Shevchenko there. Fokina has a bye, as does Cerundolo. Then we've got Nicholas Jarry, who was a finalist last year in Rome. He plays Hugo Gaston. I'll go for Jarry. Baena plays Offner and qualifier. I'm going to go for the qualifier and Offner. TFO and Shelton both have buys. Also worth noting in Rome, the courts are slow. They are like Roland Garros. Slow, heavy, high bouncing balls, very conducive to spin. Yeah, very different to Madrid. Sorry, excuse me. More similar to Monte Carlo and very similar to Roland Garros. We've got qualifying in Chilean Barrios Vera versus Jaume Munar. We'll go for Jaume Munar. Vukic and qualifier De Alboran. We'll go for Vukic. Korda and Berrettini both have buys. Jacob Fernley versus Fabio Fognini, a wild card. Not sure about this one. Fernley is a solid player, but I think on clay, I think Fognini might have too much for him, so we'll go with Fognini. Bublik plays Safian, and Bublik, I've been quite impressed with how he's been looking on clay. Better than I was expecting, to be honest. Much better than I was expecting, so I'll go with Bublik. Rude and Fritz both had buys. Gabriel Diallo plays Marcus Gironi. Had a very good run in Madrid. The courts will play different here, but I think he'll carry some of that form at least at the start of this tournament. Bellucci and Pedro Martinez will go for Bellucci, although Pedro Martinez is a very good clay courter. I think Pedro Martinez. I'm going to change my vote there. Hakac and Mensik both have buys. Rindenesh versus Gigante wildcard. I'm going to go Rindenesh. Also, it's sad to see Huber Hakac solo at 30, seeded 30. I mean, I remember when he was top 10 not too long ago. He's also got Ivan Lendl, if I'm not mistaken, in his coaching box. So I mean, I'm not sure when that's going to click, but he'd be hoping for some big results, I'm sure, on the grass. Let's see. On the clay, his style may not be the best. I have to give him the results he'd like, but let's see how he gets on in Rome. Fabian Marjan plays João Fonseca. That should be really exciting. Marjan, big hitting from the baseline, big serving, great drop shot. João Fonseca is just explosive in every sense of the word. I'm going to go with João Fonseca, but look, Marjan is a tough competitor. I'm going to say that. Rublev and Tony Paul both have buys. Matteo Arnaldi versus RBA Bautista Aguga for Arnaldi. Leonard Tien to beat Riley Opelka. I think on clay, Tien should be a solid competitor, I think, on clay, but it will all come down to how does he move on the surface. Movement is the number one key for any player on any surface. You can be super quick like a Dimona, but if Dimona is not able to slide effectively on clay and move effectively on clay, then it doesn't matter how quick he is. And the same can be said for Leonard Tien. Mahach and Felix Auger-Aliassime both have buys. I'm going to go Nuno Borges to beat qualifier, say both Wilch. Lucanardi wildcard has Flavio Caboli. I'm going to go Flavio Caboli there. Dimona and Draper both have buys. Boo plays Darderi. I'm going to go Darderi there. And then Hallis to beat qualifier Kopriva. Baez and Umber both have buys. Mute to beat Rinky Hijikata. Outmire to beat Komisana. Runa and Dimitrov both have buys. Passaro wildcard to beat Seng qualifier. Senego to beat Borochaga qualifier. And Hachinov and Mikkelsen both have buys. Echeverry to beat Laszlo Ger. Levic qualified to beat Nishioka. Alcaraz and Musetti both have buys. Medevic to play Vertenen qualifier. I'll go with Medevic. I'm going to go with Pericard to beat Thompson. He hasn't been able to beat him recently, but I'm going to go for him to finally get one on the Aussie. Nakashima and Poprin both have buys. Qualifying Taberna plays Kovacevic. We'll go with Taberna. Nori, lucky loser to beat O'Connell. Medvedev has a buy, as does Arthur Feast. Greek Sport to beat Kemanovic. And then I've got Muller to beat Lehechka. Big call there. Tsitsipas and Shapovalov both have buys. And I've gone for Galbas qualified to beat Juma. Carabelli to beat lucky loser Karina Buster. Zverev has a buy. Because Zverev is the reigning champion. He won it last year. Sinner to beat Navone. Or Navone even. Fokina to beat Shevchenko. Cerundolo to beat last year's finalist Jarry. TFO to beat Offner. Shelton to beat Munar. Korda to beat Vukic. Berrettini to beat Fognini. Ruud to beat Bublik. I'm going to go with a big one here. Diallo to beat Fritz. Pedro Martinez to beat Hakac. Mansek to beat Rindenesh. João Fonseca, Andre Rublev, a repeat of the Australian Open match they had. On clay, I actually think Rublev has swings a little bit more into his favour, but I think Fonseca would get the win. Tommy Paul, Matteo Arnaldi, a tough one. I'm both very similar players, in honesty. I'll go Tommy Paul with the experience. Then Etienne and Thomas Mahach will go with Thomas Mahach. Borges to beat Felix Auger-Aliassime for me. Caboli and Dimona. I'm going to go Caboli to beat Dimona as well. Jack Draper and Darderi will go Draper. Baez and Hallis. go with Hallis on this one. No, actually, no. On clay, it has to be Baez. Umber to beat Quarantine Mute. Got Hogaruna to beat Outmire. Dimitrov to beat Passaro, Wildcard. And Hatchinov to beat Sonego. Mikkelsen, Echeverry. Echeverry to beat Mikkelsen, cause the upset. Alcaraz, Lejovic is a tough one. Whoa. Go with Alcaraz, though. See how he's feeling after injury. Massetti and Madeo should go for Massetti. Nakashima, Pericol go for Nakashima. Poprin to beat Carlos Taberna. Arfis and Talan Grigspor. Tough one. Tough one on Kaleo. Go Arthur Feast. Oh, I missed out Nori and Medvedev. Medvedev for me. Muller and Tsitsipas go Tsitsipas. Shapovalov to beat qualified Galbas. Carabelli versus Zverev. Zverev all day. Yannick Sinner to beat Fokina. Could be tough though, given his long layoff. Srundolo and TFO. I think I'm going to go Srundolo there. Charlton and Korda. I'm going to go with Korda. Teo Berrettini plays Casper Ruud, who's just high off that Madrid win. So I think Berrettini will put a stop to it there. Diallo to beat... No, I'll go Martinez to beat Diallo. Fonseca to beat Bentic on clay, I think, yeah. Paul to beat Mahach and Caboli to beat Borges. Draper to beat Baez. Runa to beat Amber. Dimitrov and Hatchinov. Or Dimitrov. Echeverry and Alcaraz. Alcaraz. Massetti and Nakashima. Massetti. Medvedev to beat Poprin. Tsitsipas, Arthur Feast. Arthur Feast for me. Last one of Shapovalov versus Zverev. Zverev for me. So round 16. I think even though Srundolo has been playing pretty well, I'm going to go with Yannick Sinner to get the win there. Korda. Could be Berrettini, but I'll go with Berrettini, I think, on clay. Martinez and Fonseca. Now, Martinez is a tricky customer. He could get the win over Fonseca. I'm going to pick Fonseca, though. And Tommy Paul to beat Caboli. I think similar type players. But I think Paul will be able to get the win. Draper Runa would be a great matchup. I think just because Draper has been playing a lot of tennis recently, made the final in Madrid, I think he may be a little bit leggy potentially. Runa is going to make it very physical as well. I think the conditions will suit him a bit more. Alcaraz, I think, will beat Dimitrov on clay, on a slow clay court. And look, I mean, there's going to be big question marks around how Alcaraz is feeling physically. He was injured, which is why he pulled out of Madrid. And he didn't play Rome last year as well. So I imagine his game will translate well onto the clay in Rome because you want Roland Garros and he can play well on slow clay, but we shall see. The biggest question is going to be, how is his body going to hold up? How is he going to look physically when he's stretching and defending, for example, out of corners and things like that? Massetti, Medvedev, I'll go with Massetti just on clay. I just think he's just playing too well at the moment. And Arthur Feast and Zverev. I'm going to go with Feast to get the win. Now, Feast let me down a little bit I think it was in Madrid. I expected him to go further and then beat Zverev. He ended up losing quite early. Zverev is good in Rome. So, to be honest, the safe pick is Zverev over Feast in Rome, given that he's the reigning champion as when he plays well. But I'm going to stick with my gut here. That gives me quarterfinals of Sinner and Berrettini, Fonseca and Paul, Runa and Alcaraz, and Massetti and Feast. I'm going to go with Sinner to get the win over Berrettini. I mean, I'm picking Sinner to have quite a good run here, given that he's been out for so long. I'm going to go with Tommy Paul to beat João Fonseca. I'm going to go with Runa to beat Alcaraz, like he did in Barcelona. And I'm going to go with Massetti to beat Feast. The thing is, Sinner's route is not very tough. That's the one thing. It's difficult to see who'd beat him. I don't see Berrettini beating Sinner. Could Tommy Paul beat Sinner on clay? Yeah, let's go for it. It's a bit of a big call. I think if Sinner is fit and he's looking great, then I don't know. No, I'm gonna go with Sinner. I just don't think 3 months is a lot. I don't think 3 months is a lot. I know he wasn't training in a lot of facilities for a while as well, but he was still practicing in some shape or form. And now he's been practicing. I think he's going to be a lot sharper. I think he'll work his way into it and he'll be fine. And then I'll go with Runa to beat Musetti. It's a tough one to call. Would be very insane. I hope we get it. Then a final of Sinner Runa. I'm actually going to go with Holger Runa. I think Sinner will make a deep run, whether it's quarters or semis. I don't see him losing before then, given who he's got in his half of the draw. I think it's actually a very easy draw for him. So, despite being out for so long, I find it tough to see anyone who's going to beat him on clay until at least the quarterfinals. Holger Rune has been playing some good tennis, and I think maybe he didn't play his best. Hasn't been playing his best in spurt. To be disappointed, I think, not to do better in some of the other tournaments. For example, Madrid lost to Gaboli in the first round as a walkover, though he was injured or ill. Barcelona, though, when he was fit, he won. Monte Carlo again was a walkover, so I'm hoping he's fit, he's healthy. If he is, I think he's going to get the win. Big call, but let's see. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.